Banks don't hide money from you. They hide how money actually works. Stick around because this isn't theory. It's the stuff you wish someone told you at 20. And hey, if you like this kind of brutally honest money talk, join our Telegram. More tips, more absurd truths. Link in the description. 1. The bank doesn't want you to think in time, only in payments. Here's a classic trick. You walk into a bank and they don't say, "This will cost you $30,000 extra." No, that would be honest. They say, "It's only $420 a month." And suddenly your brain goes, "Oh, that's like a couple dinners and a bad subscription I forgot to cancel." Easy. But here's what's actually happening. They've taken something massive, stretched it over time, and made it feel small. It's like cutting a pizza into 48 slices and saying, "Relax, it's just one slice," while you quietly eat the whole thing. Car loans, mortgages, credit cards, it's all the same game. You're trained to focus on monthly pain, not total damage. Because if you actually sat down and calculated the full cost, you'd react the way people do when they check their bank app after a weekend in Vegas. Pure regret mixed with denial. And the scary part? This isn't even a secret. It's just normalized, like paying for bottled water when there's literally a faucet nearby. So next time you hear only X dollars per month, translate it in your head. How much am I actually giving away in total? Because banks don't profit from your money. They profit from your attention span. 2. Saving money. The safe way can quietly make you poorer. You've probably heard this your whole life. Put your money in the bank. Be safe. Be responsible. Sounds great. Feels adult. Like you suddenly own a grill and have opinions about lawn care. But here's the twist. Your savings account is basically a very polite place where your money slowly loses value. Let's say inflation is doing its thing. Prices creeping up every year like that one neighbor who keeps expanding their fence. Meanwhile, your bank gives you, what? 1%? Maybe 2% if they're feeling generous? That's not growth. That's your money jogging on a treadmill, moving but going nowhere. Meanwhile, the bank takes your money and lends it out at much higher rates. So while you're earning crumbs, they're running a full bakery with your ingredients. It's like lending your car to someone, and they start a taxi business with it, while giving you just enough money to cover the air freshener. Now, this doesn't mean saving is bad. It just means parking money forever is where the trap is. Banks love when your money sits still, because while you're being safe, they're being profitable. 3. Credit cards aren't evil, but they're designed like a casino. Let's be clear, credit cards aren't the villain, but they are suspiciously well designed. Think about it. When you pay with cash, you feel it. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. That $100 leaving your hand? Pain. With a credit card? It's just a tap. Maybe a beep. Feels like nothing. Like you just liked a post instead of buying a $300 gadget you didn't need. That's not an accident. Banks understand psychology better than most therapists. They've removed the pain of paying and replaced it with convenience, rewards, and just enough delay to make consequences feel like a future problem. And future you? That guy is terrible with money. Everyone knows that. Add interest rates into the mix, and now it's not just spending. It's time travel spending with a penalty. You're borrowing from your future self, but with fees. Like sending yourself a bill, plus tip. And the minimum payment? That's the real masterpiece. It's not there to help you. It's there to keep you comfortably stuck, like a subscription you never cancel because it's only a little. As seen in countless absurd financial behaviors people fall into, the system doesn't need you to fail dramatically. It just needs you to slowly not notice. Because the most profitable customer isn't broke. It's the one who thinks they're doing fine. 4. Banks love. When you keep a small balance. Here's something nobody tells you straight. Banks don't panic when you're in debt. They panic when you're debt-free. Because the perfect customer isn't someone drowning. It's someone comfortably treading water forever. You know that feeling when your credit card balance is like, not terrible, but not zero either? You think, I've got this under control. You make the minimum payment, maybe a little extra if you're feeling responsible, and move on with your life. That's exactly where they want you, because that manageable balance quietly generates interest every single month. It's like having a tiny leak in your wallet that you've decided is not urgent. Meanwhile, it never stops dripping. And here's the genius part. They don't want you to feel stressed. If you're stressed, you'll fix it. They want you just relaxed enough to ignore it. It's like a gym membership you barely use, not painful enough to cancel, just annoying enough to keep paying. Over time, that small balance turns into a long-term relationship, not a toxic one, not a dramatic one, just permanent. Banks don't make their money from people who pay everything off instantly. They make it from people who say, "I'll deal with it later." 5. Free. Banking isn't free. You're just the product. Ever noticed how banks proudly advertise no fees, free accounts, zero cost? Sounds amazing. Like you finally found a company that just loves you. Yeah, not quite. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Think about it. The bank holds your money, uses it to make loans, invests it, earns interest, and gives you a tiny slice, if anything. Meanwhile, they build an entire business on your deposits. It's like letting someone borrow your house for Airbnb, and they send you a postcard saying, "Thanks." And then there are the hidden moves: overdraft fees, currency conversion spreads, optional services that quietly activate. It's not one big charge, it's death by 1,000 tiny, polite cuts. Kind of like those absurd rules in life that seem harmless until you realize they're designed to control behavior more than help you. Banks don't need to charge you up front. They've mastered the art of making money in ways you barely notice. So when something is labeled free, don't ask, "What does it cost?" Ask, "How are they making money off me anyway?" Because trust me, they always are. 6. The system is built. So you don't ask questions. Let's be honest, most people don't fully understand how money works, not because they're not smart, but because the system is intentionally confusing. Interest rates, APR, compound growth, credit scores, it's like someone took basic math and wrapped it in legal language just to make sure you'd rather scroll your phone than figure it out. And banks? They're totally fine with that. Because confusion is profitable. Imagine walking into a restaurant where the menu doesn't show prices clearly, the portions are described in vague terms, and the bill comes later with a bunch of adjustments. You'd walk out, right? But in banking, that's normal. Terms like variable rate or introductory offer sound harmless, until they quietly change and suddenly your payment jumps like it just had an energy drink. And the wild part? Everything is technically disclosed. It's all there, in 37 pages of fine print that nobody reads. It's not hiding, it's burying. Kind of like those bizarre real-world systems where rules exist, but only experts understand them. The truth is, banks don't need you to be ignorant. They just need you to be busy, distracted, and slightly bored. Because the moment you truly understand the system, you stop being easy money. 7. Banks make money. When you're impatient. Here's a simple truth that hits a little too close. Banks profit from your impatience. You want the car now, the phone now, the house now. And honestly, who doesn't? Waiting feels like punishment, like life is happening without you. So the bank steps in like a very polite enabler. Why wait? You deserve it today. And just like that, you trade time for interest, because every time you say, "I'll just finance it," what you're really saying is, future me can handle this. And future you? He's already dealing with 3 other great decisions from past you. It's like ordering food when you're starving. You don't care about the price. You just want it fast. Later, you look at the receipt and think, "I paid that for a sandwich?" Loans work the same way. Urgency makes you blind to long-term cost. Banks don't need you to make bad decisions. They just need you to make fast ones, because patience builds wealth quietly. But impatience? That's where the interest lives. 8. Your credit score is less about you and more about the system. People treat credit scores like a personality test. Good score? You're responsible. Bad score? You messed up. But honestly, it's not that simple. Your credit score isn't measuring how smart you are with money. It's measuring how well you play their game. For example, imagine 2 people. One avoids debt completely, pays everything in cash, lives within their means. Sounds perfect, right? The other constantly uses credit cards, keeps balances, takes loans, but follows the rules just enough to stay reliable. Guess who often has the better score? Yep, the second one. Because the system rewards activity, not just discipline. It wants to see you borrowing, using, repaying, basically participating in the financial ecosystem. It's like a gym that only gives points if you keep coming back. If you're already fit and don't show up, they assume you're doing nothing. And that's the weird part. Being financially cautious can actually make you look invisible. Banks don't just want you to be good with money. They want you to interact with money in ways that benefit them. So your credit score? It's not a judgment of your character. It's a score of how well you follow the rules of a game you didn't design. 9. Banks quietly reward you for borrowing, not saving. This one feels backward, but stay with me. If you save money, avoid debt, and live responsibly, you'd think the system would reward you, right? Not really. Walk into a bank with zero debt, no credit history, and a pile of savings and ask for a loan. Suddenly they look at you like, cool, but who are you? Now walk in with a history of borrowing, paying interest, juggling credit cards, and boom, you're trustworthy. Why? Because the system isn't built to reward independence. It's built to reward participation. It's like a casino. The guy who walks in, looks around, and leaves? Nobody cares. But the guy who keeps playing, even if he's responsible, he's the VIP. Banks want to see that you use their products, that you borrow, repay, repeat. Because that cycle is where the profit lives. Saving is quiet, predictable, boring. Borrowing? That's where things get interesting for them. So, ironically, the person who avoids debt completely might look riskier than the one who's constantly managing it. Not because they're worse with money, but because they're less useful to the system. 10. Minimum payments are designed to keep you stuck. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous phrases in personal finance: minimum payment due. It sounds helpful, like the bank is giving you a break. Hey, don't worry, just pay this little amount for now. But here's the reality. That number isn't designed to help you get out of debt. It's designed to keep you in it. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to drain a pool with a teaspoon. Sure, technically you're making progress, but realistically, you'll be there forever. That's what minimum payments do. Most of what you pay goes toward interest, not the actual balance, so the debt barely moves. It just lingers. And the worst part? It feels like you're doing the right thing. You're paying on time, staying responsible. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking and the interest keeps stacking like unread emails. It's not a trap you fall into. It's a treadmill you willingly step on. Banks don't need you to miss payments. That's messy. They prefer you to stay consistent, slowly paying forever, because the longer you stay in the game, the more the game pays them. 11. Big purchases are emotional. Banks just monetize that. Nobody buys a car because of interest rates. You buy it because it looks good, feels good, smells like a fresh start, like you've got your life together. Same with houses, gadgets, even furniture. These aren't just purchases. They're emotional decisions dressed up as financial plans. And banks know that. That's why the process is designed to keep you focused on the feeling, not the math. You're test driving the car, imagining road trips, picturing yourself pulling up like a main character. Meanwhile, someone in the background is calmly structuring a loan that will follow you for the next 5 years. It's like going to a concert and signing a contract in the middle of your favorite song. You're not thinking clearly. You're just vibing. And that's the point. Because logic kills impulse. But emotion? That's where decisions happen. Banks don't create your Jelania. They just show up at the perfect moment with a solution that feels easy. So next time you're about to make a big, exciting purchase, pause for a second. Ask yourself, would I still want this if I had to pay full price, in cash, right now? Because that answer? That's the real one. 12. Banks count on you not tracking small expenses. Here's the thing nobody likes to admit. Most people don't actually know where their money goes, not in detail. You know the big stuff: rent, car, bills. But the small things? Coffee here, subscription there, just a quick order that somehow becomes $27. Those slip through like water through your fingers. And banks? They love that. Because small, repeated spending is invisible. It doesn't hurt in the moment. It doesn't trigger panic. It just accumulates quietly. It's like gaining weight from snacks. Nobody wakes up and says, "That one cookie ruined me." But 300 cookies later, you're like, "Wait, what happened?" Now add a credit card into the mix, and it gets even blurrier. You're not even seeing the money leave. It's just numbers on a screen that you'll deal with later. And later? Later always comes with interest. Banks don't need you to make one huge mistake. They just need you to ignore 50 tiny ones. Because financial problems rarely come from one bad decision. They come from 1,000 "it's not a big deal" moments. 13. The system normalizes debt. So you stop questioning it. At some point, debt stopped being a red flag and became a lifestyle. Student loans, normal. Car loans, expected. Credit card debt, everyone has it. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because once something feels normal, you stop questioning it. It's like living next to a noisy highway. At first, it drives you crazy. Then one day, you don't even hear it anymore. Your brain just filters it out. Debt works the same way. You start with one payment, then another, and suddenly your entire monthly income is already pre-assigned before you even get paid. But because everyone around you is doing the same thing, it feels fine. Like this is just adulthood. Banks don't need to convince you to take on debt anymore. Society already did that part. Now, they just provide the infrastructure. And the scariest part? You can be doing everything right. Good job, steady income, paying bills, and still feel stuck. Not because you're failing, but because you're playing a game where being stuck is the default. 14. More money won't fix. Bad money habits. A lot of people think, if I just made more money, everything would be fine. And yeah, more money helps, obviously. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If your habits don't change, more money just makes your problems bigger. Think about it. If someone already spends everything they earn, what happens when they earn more? Do they suddenly become disciplined, careful, strategic? No. They just upgrade their lifestyle. Better car, nicer apartment, more subscriptions, more "I deserve this" moments. It's like giving a bigger bucket to someone who already has a hole in it. The problem isn't the size of the bucket, it's the hole. Banks understand this perfectly. That's why when your income goes up, your credit limits often go up too. They're not celebrating your success. They're adjusting the ceiling of how much you can owe, because higher income plus same habits equals bigger profits. So before chasing more money, it's worth asking, would I handle more money differently or just faster? Because if the habits stay the same, the outcome just scales up. 15. Financial freedom is boring, and that's why most people never reach it. Here's the final one, and it's probably the least exciting. Financial freedom isn't flashy. There's no dramatic moment, no movie scene, no "I made it" montage with music playing in the background. It's just consistency, saving regularly, spending intentionally, saying no more often than you'd like, delaying things, being patient when everything around you is screaming, "Buy it now." And that's exactly why most people never get there, because it's boring. It doesn't give you instant dopamine. It doesn't feel like progress day to day. It feels like nothing is happening. Meanwhile, debt? That's exciting. New purchases, upgrades, instant gratification. It feels like life is moving fast. But one builds freedom quietly, the other builds pressure loudly. Banks benefit from the loud path. Because the quiet path requires discipline, and discipline doesn't generate interest. So yeah, financial freedom isn't sexy. It's not impressive at parties. But it's the only path where your money stops controlling you and starts working for you instead. 16. Banks want you to confuse. Can afford with can buy. This one gets people all the time. You walk into a dealership or open an app, and it says, "You're approved for $40,000. And your brain goes, "Nice, I can afford a $40,000 car." But hold on, that's not what that means. It means you're allowed to take on that much debt. Not that it's a smart move, not that it fits your life comfortably, just that mathematically you can survive the payments. It's like someone saying, "You can eat this entire cake in one sitting." Technically true, still a terrible idea. Banks calculate based on risk, their risk, not your stress levels, not your future plans, not the fact that your rent might go up or your car might break down next month. They don't ask, "Will this feel easy?" They ask, Will this person probably pay us back? Big difference. So when you hear "you're approved," translate it like a smart friend would. This is the maximum I can push before things get uncomfortable. Because affordability isn't about what you can buy. It's about what you can buy and still sleep peacefully at night. 17. Automatic payments. Make you stop paying attention. Autopay feels like a life upgrade. No missed bills, no stress, everything just handled. And yeah, it's convenient. But it also does something sneaky. It removes your awareness. When you manually pay for something, you feel it. You see the number. You think, do I still want this? Autopay skips that step entirely. It's like setting your lights to always be on. At first, great. Eventually, you forget they're even there, until you see the electricity bill. Subscriptions, loans, insurance, once they're on autopay, they become background noise. And background noise is expensive. Because you stop evaluating, stop questioning, stop noticing when something should have been canceled months ago. Banks and companies love this, not because it's evil, but because it's predictable. Predictable payments equals stable profits. It's like a gym membership you forgot about. You're not using it, but you're still paying. Quietly, consistently. So autopay isn't the problem, but autopilot thinking, that's where things go wrong. Because the less you look at your money, the easier it is for it to disappear. 18. Introductory offers are designed to be forgotten. You've seen these before. 0% interest for 12 months. No fees for the first year. Special limited time rate. Sounds like a win, right? And it can be if you treat it like a deadline. But most people don't. They treat it like a deal they've already won. They sign up, feel smart, and then forget. Life happens. Work, stress, random expenses, and suddenly those 12 months are gone faster than a free trial you swore you'd cancel. Then the real rate kicks in, and it's not gentle. It's like getting a teaser price at a hotel, then finding out the resort fees cost more than the room. Banks aren't hoping you fail. They're just betting on human nature, on distraction, on the fact that most people don't track timelines perfectly. It's the same logic as setting a reminder and then ignoring it. The offer isn't the trap. Forgetting about the offer is. So anytime you see introductory, read it like this. This is temporary, and the real game starts later. Because the profit isn't in the first year, it's in everything that comes after. 19. Fees are small on purpose, so you don't fight them. Imagine your bank charged you a $500 random fee. You'd call immediately. You'd argue. Maybe even switch banks. Now imagine they charge you $3.50. You see it. You sigh, you move on. That's not random. That's strategy. Small fees don't trigger action. They trigger annoyance. And then acceptance. ATM fees, overdraft charges, late penalties, they're just low enough to feel not worth the effort. Like returning a cheap item you regret buying. You think, hey, not worth it. But stack those fees over time, now we're talking real money. It's like getting nickeled and dimed, but digitally, so it feels less real. And because each fee feels small, you don't change your behavior dramatically, you don't redesign your system, you just absorb it. Banks don't need one big win. They prefer 1,000 tiny ones. Because small, repeated charges are invisible income streams. You won't fight them. You'll just get used to them. 20. The system is built for average behavior, not smart behavior. Here's something important to understand. The financial system isn't designed for the smartest people. It's designed for the average behavior, meaning it assumes you'll forget things, overspend sometimes, carry balances, miss opportunities, and it builds around that. It's like a buffet designed for people who overeat. Everything is structured, so the average person takes more than they need. Now, if you're disciplined, if you track your spending, avoid unnecessary debt, understand interest, you're playing a different game. You're not the target, you're the exception. But the system doesn't break because of you. It thrives because most people behave predictably. Kind of like those real-life systems where strange rules only make sense when you realize how people usually act. Banks don't need everyone to struggle. They just need enough people to behave normally. So the goal isn't to beat the system dramatically. It's to quietly step outside of average behavior. Because average behavior, that's where the profits are. 21. Banks don't care. If you understand money, they care if you use it. Here's the final reality check. Banks don't sit around hoping you become financially educated. They don't need you to, because their business doesn't depend on your understanding. It depends on your participation. You can fully understand interest rates, credit systems, fees, and still use them, still take loans, still carry balances, and that's enough. It's like knowing fast food isn't healthy and still ordering it. Awareness doesn't always change behavior. Banks aren't villains. They're businesses. They offer tools, and those tools can be useful or expensive depending on how you use them. But here's the key difference. If you don't understand money, you'll use those tools by default. If you do understand money, you'll use them by choice. And that changes everything. Because one makes you reactive, the other makes you intentional. Banks don't require ignorance. They just benefit from it. So the real advantage isn't avoiding banks altogether. It's understanding the game well enough to decide when to play and when to walk away. 22. Banks want you focused on income, not wealth. Most people are obsessed with income. How can I earn more? How do I get a raise? How do I make more money this year? And yeah, that matters. But here's what quietly gets ignored. Wealth is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and how well it grows. Banks are totally fine with you chasing higher income. In fact, they love it. Higher income usually means bigger loans, higher credit limits, more spending. It's like upgrading your character in a video game, but also increasing the difficulty at the same time. You earn more, you spend more, you borrow more, you owe more. And suddenly, even though your income doubled, your financial stress somehow didn't go anywhere. Because income is active. It requires your time, your energy. Wealth? That's passive. That's assets working quietly in the background. Banks don't make much from you building wealth slowly. They make money from you cycling money quickly. So if all your focus is on earning, but not on keeping, investing, or building, you're basically running faster on the same treadmill. And the system? It's perfectly designed for that. 23. Convenience is one of the most expensive things you buy. Convenience feels harmless. Just tap your phone. One-click checkout. Saved card details. Everything is designed to remove friction, and that feels great, until you realize friction was the only thing slowing you down. Think about it. The harder something is to buy, the more you think about it. The easier it is, the less you question it. It's like eating snacks when they're right in front of you versus locked in another room. One requires effort, the other requires zero thought. Banks and payment systems have made spending almost invisible. No cash, no counting, no pause. And when spending becomes effortless, it becomes frequent. That's where the real cost is. Not one big purchase, but hundreds of small, easy ones. Convenience isn't free. It just charges you in small, forgettable moments. So next time something feels too easy, pause for a second. Because sometimes, a little friction is exactly what protects your money. 24. Banks benefit. When you compare yourself to others, you ever notice how money decisions get weirdly emotional when other people are involved? Your friend buys a new car. Suddenly your car feels older. Your coworker upgrades their apartment. Now yours feels temporary. Nothing in your life changed, but somehow everything feels different. That's comparison, and it quietly pushes people into financial decisions they weren't even planning to make. Banks don't create that pressure, but they're always ready to finance it. Because once you feel like you're behind, logic takes a back seat. You're not thinking, is this a good decision? You're thinking, I don't want to feel like I'm falling behind. It's like social media for money. Everyone shows the highlight reel. Nobody shows the monthly payments behind it. So you're comparing your real life to someone else's financed version. And that gap? It gets filled with loans, credit, and I'll figure it out later. Banks don't need you to be reckless. They just need you to feel slightly uncomfortable with what you already have. Because discomfort leads to action, and action often leads to borrowing. 25. The system makes spending feel like progress. Buying things feels like moving forward. New phone? Upgrade? New car? Level up? New furniture? Fresh start. It feels like progress, like your life is improving in real time. But here's the catch. Spending and progress are not the same thing. One feels fast and visible. The other is slow and invisible. Saving money doesn't feel exciting. Investing doesn't give you instant results. There's no dramatic moment where you go, "Wow, I just made a great financial decision." It's quiet, almost boring. So naturally, people gravitate toward what feels like progress, spending. And the system reinforces that. Ads, apps, offers, they all make it feel like buying something is a step forward. But often, it's just a step sideways, with interest. Banks don't need to convince you directly. They just operate inside a world where spending already feels like success. So the real shift is mental. Start asking, is this actually moving me forward or just making it look like I am? Because those are very different paths. 26. Debt can make you feel rich until it doesn't. This one is subtle. Debt can create the illusion of wealth. You're driving a nice car, living in a nice place, buying good stuff. From the outside, and even to yourself, it feels like you're doing well. And maybe you are. But the key question is, how much of that is actually yours? Because debt lets you live tomorrow's lifestyle today. It's like borrowing someone else's suit. You look sharp, you feel confident, but eventually you have to give it back and maybe pay extra for wearing it. The danger isn't the spending, it's the feeling. Because once you get used to that lifestyle, stepping back feels like failure, even if it's the smart move. So people double down. More credit, more loans, more "I'll manage it somehow." Banks don't need you to collapse financially. They just need you to stay in that zone where everything looks fine, but isn't fully owned. Because that gap between appearance and reality, that's where long-term debt lives. 27. The biggest secret. Money is mostly behavior, not knowledge. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. Most people already know what they should do with money. Spend less, save more, avoid unnecessary debt, think long-term. None of that is new. The problem isn't knowledge, it's behavior. Because knowing something doesn't mean you'll do it. Everyone knows eating healthy is good. Doesn't mean everyone is meal prepping on Sunday. Money works the same way. You can watch videos, read books, understand interest rates, and still make emotional decisions when you're tired, stressed, or just want something now. Banks don't rely on you being uninformed. They rely on you being human. Impulsive sometimes, distracted, optimistic about the future. "I'll fix it later. I'll earn more soon." It's not a big deal. That's where the real game happens, because behavior beats knowledge every time. So the goal isn't just to learn more about money. It's to build habits that work even when you're not thinking clearly. Because in the end, money isn't a math problem. It's a behavior pattern. Still think money is about math? Or is it just habits in disguise?